everyone, and welcome to 404s of the World, a spin-off series of remarkable engines where I briefly cover the history of an engine numbered 404 in 4 minutes and 4 seconds. This episode of 404s of the World will feature an engine from one of the largest class 1s on the West Coast and one of the only ones in the Southwest, the Santa Fe. This railroad's 404 was part of a rare variant of GE U-boats on the road, as it was initially built for passenger service towards the end of its era and was later converted for freight service on the same railroad. So with that said, here is a brief history of Santa Fe 404. The 1960s isn't a good time to be running passenger services, since most of them are being dropped due to low ridership caused by competition from cars and planes. Despite this, the Santa Fe Railroad was still continuing to invest in their passenger service by purchasing new locomotives to supplement the classic but worn-out F units. Since no manufacturer offered dedicated passenger engines, the Santa Fe offered to purchase 10 GE U28CGs with steam generators for the coaches in exchange for aging alcoves. Despite being painted in the Santa Fe's classic red war bonnet livery, the railroad still wanted to emphasize passenger service even further by purchasing another batch of passenger engines that also looked like passenger engines. What resulted was the GE U30CG, with G standing for steam generator, as although these engines were internally identical to the successful U30C freight engine, they were fitted with fluted stainless steel panels and a full-width rounded nose and slanted cab. Only 6 of these passenger variants were built in November 1967, as they were numbered 400 to 405, with 404, the locomotive to be focused on, being the second to last U30CG built. These engines mostly ran on flagship passenger trains such as the Grand Canyon Limited from Chicago to Los Angeles, and even the Super Chief, but they are primarily known for their use on secondary runs, such as the Texas Chief, San Diegan, and Tulsan. Unfortunately, their intended use for passenger runs would tragically be cut short, when an accident involving the U28CG in February 1969 called the reliability of these GE passenger variants into question. This ultimately downgraded the U28CGs and U30CGs to freight service, a relatively easy decision since they're practically freight engines to begin with, as they were renumbered from 8000 to 8005, while more reliable EMD FP45s took over the railroad's passenger trains. With Amtrak taking over passenger service across the country, Santa Fe painted the U30s into 3 variations of their blue and yellow war bonnet, and had their steam generators removed, the openings covered, and the shared fuel tanks converted for greater range. 8004 and other U30CGs pulled flagship freight runs such as the Super C, but were later downgraded to secondary freight runs in Missouri and Colorado, until they were eventually retired in 1980 as they were traded in and scrapped in favor of B36-7s. Even though 404's intended career was cut short due to no fault of its own, it still managed to serve the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe as not only an early GE workhorse, but also as a member of a rare breed of reliable engines that did the job with style. Now before this video ends, I'd like to introduce a brief news section of this series called Honorary 404, in which the railroad being reviewed technically rostered another engine numbered 404, but there is no information on said engine. With that said, Santa Fe's Honorary 404 goes to 10-wheeler 400 class number 404, built by the Schenectady Locomotive Works in 1890 and retired by 1927. Now with that out of the way, thank you all for watching this episode of 404s of the World. As one of the more recognizable 404s in railroading history, this rare variant of a common freight engine proved that the Santa Fe still cared about their prestigious passenger service in addition to freight by ordering a practical engine that was designed to haul both. Thank you again for watching. Credit for all the photos used go to their respective photographers, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.